You are listening to This Week in Taiwan. I'm Eloise Phillips. Every Saturday, we break down the biggest stories making headlines across the country, from politics and economics to culture and the unexpected. Whether you're tuning in from Taipei or halfway around the world, we've got you covered with what you need to know to stay in the loop. Taiwan's Pacific Island allies held the first Pacific Cultural Gala in Taipei on Friday, June 5th, with President Lai Ching-te delivering remarks at the event. Organised by the embassies of the Marshall Islands, Tuvalu and Palau, the gala featured music and dance performances celebrating friendship with Taiwan and shared Austronesian roots. Marshall Islands Ambassador Anjanette Katil, Tuvalu Ambassador Lili Tanjasia Fa'avae, and Palau Charge d'Affaires David Adams Arugam welcomed guests to the gala, including ambassadors and representatives from other nations. Attendees enjoyed Pacific Island flavours at the banquet that began with the ceremonial blowing of a conch shell. Speaking at the gala, Marshall Islands Ambassador Katil said that the Pacific and Taiwan shared deep Austronesian roots that, quote, transcend geography and connect our people across generations, end quote. These ties are reflected in our cultures, languages, and deep connection to the ocean, reminding us that while distance may separate our shores, our shared heritage continues to bring us together, she said. President Lai said in a speech that the Pacific has, quote, never been a barrier, end quote, but instead is a, quote, great road that connects us, end quote. We are all maritime nations. The ocean defines our heritage. Beyond cultural roots, we also share the values of freedom and democracy, he said. Marshall Islands Ambassador Katil told RTI at the gala that Pacific ambassadors in Taiwan had long wanted to hold an event showcasing the region and promoting the shared culture, languages, and traditions that help make Taiwan's relationship with the Pacific special. The National Institute of Cybersecurity, or NICS, and Microsoft signed a Memorandum of Understanding, or MOU, on Monday, June 8th, focusing on threat intelligence, AI-enabled defense, zero-trust architecture, and deepening cooperation through public-private partnerships. A Microsoft representative said that the company will combine its global threat intelligence network with local intelligence to improve defensive efficiency in the face of new threats from AI. Microsoft's North Asia head of global public affairs, Marcus Bartley-Johns, called the MOU a symbolic milestone of Taiwan and Microsoft's cooperation. He said that cybersecurity requires cross-governmental and cross-organizational collaboration for a strong ecosystem. The AI era now brings enormous opportunity, but also a variety of threats, making it essential to leverage resources to quickly detect weaknesses. He pointed out that a key area for cooperation is the integration of important intelligence to jointly strengthen defense capabilities. While Microsoft has a global reach, the Taiwanese government and the Taiwan Academic Cybersecurity Center possess important national security-related information. Marcus said,
if there are two things that we can be doing together to really strengthen our cyber defense in this age of AI, one that is incredibly important is thinking about data. How can we be pooling our data and our insights? Where Microsoft has access to more than 100 trillion signals daily across our global footprint, and we know that there's important data and insights that the National Institute of Cybersecurity and your other partners have across threats in Taiwan. So how can we be combining that data?
Microsoft is also testing the use of multi-agent and multi-model architectures to further improve its cybersecurity protection capabilities. NICS President Ying Da-lin stated that future collaborations will focus on three key technologies: zero trust, AI agent management, and strengthening critical infrastructure protection. He said that in an increasingly complex landscape, traditional defensive thinking is not enough. Cooperation with Microsoft will enhance Taiwan's proactive detection, rapid response, and continuous cybersecurity capabilities. A suspected gas explosion at a residential building in Hsinchu left 2 dead and 2 injured on Tuesday, June 9th. According to preliminary assessments, the incident also affected 8 other households and a total of 18 residents. A 65-year-old man and a 58-year-old woman were transported to a hospital in critical condition and eventually pronounced dead. 2 men, aged 60 and 33, were hospitalized. Hsinchu Mayor An Kao said that the city government has established a communication mechanism through neighborhood chiefs, district offices, and relevant departments to individually verify the needs of affected residents and provide full assistance with relocation and recovery efforts. President Lai Ching-te and former President Tsai Ing-wen both expressed their condolences on social media and thanked frontline rescue workers for their efforts. Lai said he has instructed relevant central government agencies and local authorities to assist affected residents. China is increasing grey zone coercion against Taiwan in an effort to weaken the island's resilience ahead of the 2028 presidential elections, a US expert said, as Washington urged Beijing to halt pressure on Taiwan. China sent government vessels into the eastern waters of Taiwan on Saturday, June 6th, citing Japan-Philippines talks over exclusive economic zones. Taiwan's Coast Guard administration said it deployed ships in advance and monitored the vessels throughout. By Tuesday, June 9th, the ships had left the area, allegedly broadcasting false jurisdiction claims to past cargo vessels, prompting Taiwan to warn mariners to ignore the interference. The US State Department said it supports its treaty allies, Japan and the Philippines, and urged Beijing to resolve disputes peacefully. A spokesperson also called on China to stop military, diplomatic, and economic pressure on Taiwan and instead engage in meaningful dialogue with its elected leaders. Craig Singleton, a senior fellow at the Foundation for Defense of Democracies, said China is increasingly relying on grey zone tactics, including maritime incursions, cyber operations, and disinformation. He said such actions aim to isolate Taiwan and erode public confidence, describing this as Beijing's core objective leading up to the 2028 vote. Taiwan will strive to maintain its participation in the Pacific Islands Forum, or PIF, as a, quote, development partner, end quote, Vice President Xiao Mei-chin said whilst visiting Palau, the host of this year's forum. Speaking to travelling media on Wednesday morning, June 10th local time, Xiao said Taiwan has long actively engaged in the PIF, but is expected to continue facing various forms of obstruction and oppression from China. Despite these challenges, she expressed confidence that Taiwan will retain its established mode of participation and gain support from like-minded countries.
I think we'll work hard to maintain past practices. Many of our like-minded partners, including the United States, have shown signs in recent years of withdrawing from certain international organizations and platforms under the Trump administration, but that has not affected their continued advocacy in the forums where they do participate, that Taiwan should have meaningful participation.
Last year's forum in the Solomon Islands barred Taiwan and other dialogue and development partners from attending under pressure from China. This year, however, Palau, one of Taiwan's allies, is hosting the event. Xiao noted Palau's strong backing, citing President Shirangul Whips Jr.'s stance that all countries, regardless of size, deserve respect. She said, Taiwan hopes to use the forum to highlight cooperative achievements with Palau. Vice Foreign Minister Bao Shan-ge added that Taiwan joined the PIF in 1992 as a development partner under the name Taiwan Republic of China, and said support from the forum remains strong, despite ongoing pressure from China. Taiwan's central bank governor, Yang Qinglong, said Wednesday that concerns over rising retail leverage in the stock market remain far from posing systemic risk, even as equities have surged this year. The Taipei stock market has climbed about 60% since the start of the year and hit 46,459 points on June 3rd before entering a correction. Lawmakers have raised alarms about so-called four loans, mortgages, margin financing, personal credit loans and car loans being redirected into equities by retail investors, potentially threatening financial stability. Speaking at the Legislature's Finance Committee, Yang said the current situation does not indicate systemic risk. He noted that, while capital inflows into stocks have been rapid, regulators are closely monitoring developments. Addressing concerns cited in the central bank's financial stability report about fast-growing financing in AI-related sectors, Yang said those references were based on International Monetary Fund, or IMF, analysis, not the bank's own assessment. Yang also described the recent market pullback as healthy. He said, "I think the recent downward correction is healthy. That is to say, it can't just go up without going down. But I personally think the recent correction is healthy." Foreign investors have been net sellers regardless of daily swings, prompting questions about capital outflows. Yang said such flows are typical given Taiwan's high dividends, estimating net outflows of at least $5 billion in June, which he said is not unusually large. Taiwan's cabinet on Thursday approved draft amendments to the criminal code that would significantly increase penalties for drug-impaired driving, including life imprisonment for repeat offenders who cause death. The proposal will be sent to the legislature for review. Under the amendments, driving under the influence of drugs would carry a sentence of up to 5 years in prison and a 500,000 Taiwanese dollar, around $16,000 fine. Cases causing serious injury would be punishable by 3 to 10 years in prison, while those resulting in death would carry 5 to 12 years, along with higher fines. Repeat offences within 10 years would face harsher penalties. Offenders who cause serious injury could receive 5 to 12 years in prison, while those responsible for fatalities could face life imprisonment or a minimum of 7 years, with fines of up to 4 million Taiwanese dollars, around $126,000. The draft also mandates vehicle confiscation for cases involving drunk or drug-impaired driving that result in death or serious injury. Current law imposes lighter penalties, with a maximum of 3 years in prison for impaired driving and lower fines, prompting calls for stricter deterrence. And that is it for this week in Taiwan. My name is Eloise Phillips. If you want to know more about what's going on in Taiwan, visit our website at rti.org.tw/en. Until next time.